The airport authority staff have the forms. If you have a form with you that you'd like to turn, hold it up, and Shauna or Peggy or somebody will be around to collect those. And if you'd like to print form, raise your hand and we'll go in and get those out. Just to let you know the format of the meeting, we're going to invite representatives of the FAA to present the proposed Metroplex project. Now, for those of you who are not aware of it, this is a national program, so this is taking place across the country. This is not restricted just to San Diego. And the airport authority was kind enough to ask for this meeting to take place in order to make sure that the community is well informed with what is being proposed. This is in the environmental EA process right now, so there will not be dialogue. There will be, the purpose for the FAA is to present and make you very familiar with what the Metroplex proposal is, to clarify some issues, and then to listen to you. There is on October the 8th, coming up in a couple of days, the deadline to submit comments regarding the EA. So comments that are made today will not be recorded. There won't be any minutes of the meeting or anything like that and submitted. So if you have comments and feel very strong about, please, or any comments, please make sure you submit those comments by the October 8th. And I believe that deadline is 2 o'clock.
Where do we submit? Why are we here?
The site for comments is, okay, they'll give it to you as part of the presentation. Couple of housekeeping rules. The women's restroom is out the back. We also have some water over here on the side to get the speaker form. With a group this size and with as strong of an interest as there is in this proposed plan, I really ask to put your cooperation. Everybody here has an interest. They have some concerns, some thoughts, some questions. So please, your cooperation in helping this process go smoothly will be really appreciated. And that way we get good information out there. Again, the format is there's going to be a presentation by the FAA, and then we'll open it up for a session for questions or comments. We're going to limit, again, my goal is to try to get as much of your comments out as possible. So we're going to limit the time for comments to 2 minutes. We're estimating the presentation will be around 15 minutes, and we will end at 7:30. 7:30.
Hurry up!
Now, there may be some questions. Okay, I'll get off real quick. There may be some questions regarding the existing conditions. Over here we have a board. We're going to put those questions on that board because that's not really dealing with the proposed Metroplex. And the authority staff has agreed to stick around after the meeting and address those issues. So, any questions about the process? That will be covered in the presentation. Okay? So, yes, the process?
It's not a proposal, they're already doing it.
So now I'm going to bring up the representatives of the FAA to make a presentation. Let's.
I would like to thank fellow Owens from the airport authority for calling us in here today. I think it's most important that I hope that you can leave here understanding what this proposal is and some other facts. I think it's probably something to explain right up front that this is a proposed route structure in the system, and we currently have one that is Glenn Martin. I'm the regional administrator here for the Federal Aviation Administration here in California. It's important to understand the route structure is there. However, air traffic controllers will vector aircraft off that route for a variety of reasons. Safety, weather, sequencing to the east, and all of those reasons. So the reason that you see traffic over Point Loma today is for those reasons that they're vectoring off that route. We actually can show you the flight data. The airport has prepared it, and we can show you that the flight tracks have not changed. I understand I'm not going to convince you, but I do understand that we have not changed the flight tracks. They have that presentation for you. The airport is willing to take that current issue and deal with you as we need to, whether we need to come down and do another presentation on the current situation. But I do want you to understand that what we're talking about tonight is a nationwide plan that we're going across the country trying to modernize the air traffic system, improve the safety and efficiency, and the key component of this now, which we're into and why we're here tonight, is for the community involvement in that process. This is sorry?
2 days notice.
This has been going on for 4 months. Well, we're going to go through quite a bit of that in the presentation. So we will try and cover that in the presentation and all the things we've been doing through the 4-month period. So that's, again, I just got the call perhaps a week ago to set this up. So we came down here as fast as we could. Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Again, if I can remind you, let them finish their presentation. Without the interruptions, we can get to your comments as quickly as possible. So please, let's allow the presentation to take place. Thank you.
So with me tonight is Elizabeth Ray. She's the Vice President of Mission Support Services out of the Washington headquarters. Rob Henry is our project manager here on the Metroplex for Southern California, and Rob's going to give the presentation.
Good evening, Bob Henry, Metroplex manager. I just want to kind of hopefully provide you some information so you can help with your comments. And I truly want to echo what Glenn said. We're in the public comment period. Your comments are very, very important to us. They will be evaluated when we receive them. So I want you to understand that to start with. This is just a beautiful day in Southern California. It's a 24-hour period that we took a snapshot of how the traffic moves in Southern California. The blue lines are jet traffic, yellow turboprops, red are all others, meaning overflights and military activity. So the purpose and need of this project is to enhance efficiency and safety within the Southern California Metroplex process. With that, we're trying to reduce complexity. By reducing complexity, we're looking at a reduction of phraseology for air traffic, reduced phraseology in the flight deck, also reducing workload in the flight deck. We're trying to provide a predictable path, so we know that path is constant, and also provide flexibility in our design. So I want to try to explain the process so you can kind of understand where we're at. Metroplex started this process in 2011 with a study team recommendation. Shortly after that, we began our meetings and looking at the design. So in 2014, in January, we did a couple of things. We sent out letters to local elected officials. We sent out letters to the airport, published in your local newspaper that the Metroplex process was beginning. And a little bit of an explanation of what that was. So the team begins their process around that time. And then during that next 6 months, we design notional designs. They're notional designs. These designs, when I say notional, they've not been flown. They can't be flown. And I'll explain that. When we design these procedures, there's several things that we have to do. One of them is we have to look at these procedures. They have to be looked at in the simulations. We did that in what's called human-in-the-loop simulation. They were evaluated to see if they did provide those three items we were looking at: predictability, flexibility, and safety. So we did that. We also looked at the ISIM, which is another simulation program for us to determine if that was meeting our expectations. When we designed it, about 75%, we looked at it and said, okay, let's run it again through the simulation process. While that was going on, the airlines also took it into their simulators and began flying in their simulators only to see if it would meet their expectations. So during that 6 months, that's what was going on. So we would say that was between 75% and 90% notional design complete. And that's where we are today. Right here on this spot right here, June 14, 2014, we put our pencils down, we quit designing, we prepared the draft DA, and we released the draft DA in June. And the draft DA is where we go to the public and we're looking for your comments. So the comments where you believe we follow these procedures, we can't apply them. And I'll tell you very simply for one reason. They're not published. They're not anywhere any crew could fly them. They're notionally sitting on a desk. They haven't even been sent to Oklahoma City yet for anybody to finalize them. So we have many things left to do. One of them is evaluate your comments. Then we need to flight check them. And then we would move forward and ask for permission to proceed with our project. So in 2014 in the fall, we reached out and started meeting with the airports, and we've held numerous meetings with the airports. We again solicited help from your local elected officials with government agency briefings. We completed the draft DA, we circulated the draft DA, and then we began our public workshops. And again, the public workshops were done in June. Again, we sent letters to your public officials, to your airports, published it in the newspaper in both English and Spanish, and began the workshops. It took about 2 weeks. We did 12 workshops throughout Southern California, one here in San Diego, and we've been receiving our public comments from them. We've taken 2 opportunities to extend the public comment period to receive more comments. So at this point, we're about a few days away from the October 8th deadline. So what we do now, we get the comments after the 8th. My team will begin looking at and reviewing your comments. What we have to do with those comments is determine if there is something that we can improve upon, and that's something we're looking for. Again, I want to reiterate that your comments are very, very important to us. Then we would circulate our final DA in the fall and winter. So every comment that we receive, we will look at, and granted some of them are going to be the same, so they will be, and I would say, bucketed into one type of comment. And we'll respond to those in the draft DA. So you'll actually see a response. So if you say, put the point back in, you'll see a response to that, why we did or did not do that. Then we'll send a document to Lynn Ray, our Mission Support Vice President, for approval right here. And we're proposing that date somewhere in January. And what could happen during that time, Lynn would send it back and say, okay, I'd like you to reevaluate these procedures. I think there's more work you can do. She can say, please proceed with the project, or you can table the project. So none of those procedures are anywhere. So the comments that are being flown is not accurate. So this decision document will be in 2016. And then we propose, again, some implementation, and it's just a timeline that we don't know that we're going to meet. It's still all based in January. Of our initial proposal, we would do 2 implementation dates, one in November of 2016 and one in March of 2017. So that's the process that we're using. We're right here, we're looking for those review and prepare comments. So we do look at every one of the comments you sent. Go ahead. So I want to try and explain the chart, and I do want to say that the FAA is going to change or modify how we're doing this. One of the things that we added was flight tracks over Google Earth, which had never done before. And I think this slide has caused a ton of confusion, and I want to try to explain it. First and foremost, the ICA SID is a standard instrument departure off San Diego. It's going to replace the POGI SID. So when we designed this, we asked to put it over Google Earth so you can see what the flight tracks look like. For continuity, we used the same day that the study team did in 2012. And this is just one day of traffic. The light blue lines are your traffic. So this is just one day out of San Diego on this departure. So that was the first thing we did. Then we added the black line, which is how the targets program, the name is targets. It's our design tool. So the design tool go and it draws a straight line. Again, that was the old procedure. Again, going to jetty. And then the new procedure is the white line. And that was the target generated line. Again, not the flight line. So what we did is add some additional lines to try and clarify that. And so if you look, this line here is a flightability line for the procedure. For medium jets, this is a flightability line for the larger jets, so your 737 and your Airbuses would fly this. This would be your more business jets.
That's not true. You're going to fly that white line right there. That's what you're. Why would you fly? You don't always fly between a waypoint and a waypoint. That's. I'm a pilot. You do that.
Please, let him finish.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, I'll try to explain it to you. So they come off the airport, they fly to waypoint jetty, which is a flyover, and you're a pilot, you understand that. So you fly over this waypoint at less than 230 knots, and then you begin your turn. And your turn would be this. This turn cannot be made by that aircraft.
Look at the line.
Currently, that's what you're doing. Yes. Oh, okay. No comment.
So again, these are the flyability lines. This is just a design tool line.
There's a line. Right there. Right there. Cuts through. Somebody just asked what happens when you abandon.
Again, there's the next slide. Again, come off the airport, 230 knots.
That's what they're going to be doing.
Okay, here comes the consultant. They've conveniently left that.
That's the expanded version that you're asking for.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the expanded version you asked for. Again, off the airport, 230 knots or less, to an altitude at or below 12,000, execute the turn, and head to the waypoint zoo. And zoo is indicated, and it's a lot long, it is a waypoint, satellite-based waypoint. So that's what the procedure would look like.
Why does the white line say proposed? If you're saying that's just a computer-generated line. Right there it says proposed.
When do you not fly between waypoints? Tell me when you don't fly between waypoints. That makes no sense. You're lying to us.
Yeah.
They did it in Phoenix, the same thing. They're doing it now.
Please, again, I understand that there's a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and clarification. Let's allow the FAA to finish the presentation, okay? He's not answering.
Yeah, you want to answer the question.
I want to read it one more time and say I can't answer the questions. We're in the public comment period. Comments need to be in writing and put on the website. By law, I cannot answer.
Oh, look at how hard it is to read the email.
Can't see the email address.
This is the website where you can find the environmental information.
Kind of hard to read.
Digital straight unit.
Can you read the email address? It's 9-ANM.
This meeting will end at 7:30, and we want to get to your comments. So these interruptions are simply taking time away from the discussion period. Okay? So please, if you could hold your comments until the end of the presentation. If you want to speak and you have not completed a speaker form, please raise your hand, and a member of the authority staff will bring a speaker slip to you. So again, your cooperation will really help out. And we've got a couple of people over here like speakers.
That's a ticket on the whole process.
Good evening. If I could just have just a second. I'm Lydia Ray. I was introduced earlier. We know that you can't read this very well. It's very washed out. We distributed either through the airport's website, we'll ask them. We have a website for this.
Oh, come on.
If you'll excuse me just a moment, we'll change it right now before you leave. We'll make it darker so you can see it. And you'll just hang on 1 second. What I would reiterate is what Rob said. Please make your comments to us. Where we are in the process is that we will look at them and answer each one of them. So if you will make your comments, understand, you may not understand what you're seeing here as clearly as we may think you do. So please help us understand where you're coming from by submitting the comments card. Give us just a second. The address will be up here in purple, and we will still make sure that it's distributed. If the airport will put it on their website as well, so we can make sure they have it.
Please, I ask for your cooperation. There's a number of people in here where capacity, I would say the majority of the people here really would like to have a good understanding of the proposed Metroplex. So the interruptions is really taking away some time from that. And if it continues to get out of control, you know, we're just not going to get to the objective. So please cooperate with us. That's what I ask. So again, if you've got some comment cards, or if you'd like to speak, Jean is back there collecting some speaker slip. Got some up here and handing some out.
That's it?
All right, John, do we have some speaker sets? We're just going to go ahead and go into the speaker format, give you the opportunity now to speak. This is the way we'll approach it. You're going to be, again, we're limiting this to 2 minutes, so we can try to get as many people to speak as possible. I'm going to call up the speakers, and I'll call the speaker to speak at this point. The next speaker, we've got 2 reserved chairs up here to come up so that we can rotate this as quickly as possible. The first speaker I'm going to have a call for is Paul Grimes.
Yay!
And Paul will be followed by Sandra Clifton. And then Debbie Croker will be after Sandra. So Sandra will come and take this chair right here. And I'm going to apologize up front. Some of these names, if I have difficulty pronouncing them, please accept my apologies in advance. So, Ms. Grimes?
Thank you. My name is Paul Grimes. I'm a line right in San Diego. And before I make my comment, I would like to say that the blue slide that was up there does not have the fly path during the 290-degree heading, which is required after either 9 or 10 o'clock at night. That will dramatically take those aircraft over Point Long. We would have to have them install that yellow and green line for the 290 heading after the investigation procedure takes place. Back in the late 1990s, Councilmember Byron Ritter and Congressman Brian Bilbray was responding to concerns of the neighborhood. At that point, they approached the FAA. Walter White, the Miramar SoCal Tracom, proposed and got approval from the union to install dots on the computer screens, which meant that the aircraft would go through a gate. The ones going north would be inside the gate, on the left would go inside the gate, and then around a point at the end of the point. That has been in effect for almost 20 years, and this proposal would undo that. So we would like to know, the question would be, were you aware of this agreement between the U.S. Congressman and the FAA, and how would that affect your situation as far as proposing this? Second of all, our group looked at numerous ways to calculate how much time this is going to save per aircraft. It appears if you look at the lines, it's about 1 mile savings. That comes down to when the aircraft's at cruise, about 7 seconds. It also calculates somewhere about a $3 to $5 savings in fuel. I don't think that makes any, logical situation we have.
And again, the reserved seats for the speakers are right up here, right next to the microphone. Okay, so Debbie will be after Sandra, followed by Ann Weber. Over. So Ann can take a seat over here as well.
I'd like to speak to the human side of this equation. Having been in LA when LAX expanded and cracked homes along Dock Rundle Beach, then you were eventually condemned and taken over, to the schools that had to go underground because of debris falling occasionally on the playgrounds. Our question, is the fuel efficiency and efficiency over here worth the chance of people that live below and on this area that's being expanded? Not to mention the dirt that accumulates and the noise factor, which we've all recognized. So I ask you to consider those very, very consciously as you move forward with your decisions. Thank you.
Debbie, followed by Ann, and then after Ann will be Joe Demaso.
I would just like to say for your future information on SoCal, that this was very poorly prepared, informative. I'm even more confused than I was before I read the Beacon article in last Thursday's Beacon. My question is, we live right on the border of the flight path, and I've noticed, my husband and I both have noticed recently that there are a lot more 630 planes coming over our house than ever before, number one. And number two, my question is this going to change that fanning pattern for takeoff? Thank you.
Again, I want to remind you that what we're addressing here, or what the meeting is to talk about the proposed Metroplex. So the existing conditions, like we brought up, we're going to put that in the parking lot, and authority staff will be here after we to address that. Okay, so after that will be Ann, followed by, oh, I'm sorry, that was it, right? Ann, correct?
Yes.
Okay, followed by Joe, and then Peggy Griffith will be third. Thank you.
I'm a past president of the Women's Museum of California. We're located in Barracks 16. And when we have Girl Scouts or different groups coming into the museum, we have to halt. The noise is so tremendous. I realize this is probably a parking lot issue. But not only do I get all the noise over Barracks 16, but I live on Voltaire Street overlooking the Liberty Station. And again, it's a double whammy with the noise. And I think when you consider that you're concerned primarily about saving money, those of us who adore the noise can only say, this is distasteful. When are we the people? When will you put we the people on the top of your list every time you consider any change in the flight path? So I'm urging all of you, my question is, come on, do something for we the people.
Parking lot. So Ann, followed by Joe, and then followed by, I'm sorry, I'm trying to manage these names. So Joe's up next, followed by Peggy, and then Trisha Schuessler.
Yes, I'm Joe Demaso. I live on Leon Street in Sunset Cliffs. My name is Joe Demaso. I live on Leon Street in Sunset Cliffs. And last week, when it was real hot and moist, every evening the air would come in through our screens facing the ocean where the winds come from. And I had just watched those screens about 4 weeks before, and there was a lot of water that accumulated on the screen when I was shutting it. So I wiped it off with this paper towel. And I folded it in 4. This is 4 and then we have one window open out there so the wind will come right through there and go through our house. 4 nights. And each one I folded it over, so we're talking 4 days, all this. Thank you. Way to go, Joe.
We'd like to try to focus as much as we can on the proposed Metroplex.
Call us up.
Over Sunset Cliffs. We're flying over Sunset Cliffs. Boom.
Okay, please. Peggy followed by Tricia, and then Mary Ann Wetman.
Oh, we live on Cedar Lane, which is the very furthest most, is that correct English, street in Point Loma on the south end. In 1967, we moved to Loma Portland Grammy's house, who built her house before Lindbergh crossed the Atlantic. We left Loma Portland because of the noise and moved to the wooded section. And now, as we're approaching 80 years old, we're going to get the noise back again.
Peggy Tricia, followed by Mary Ann, and then Ann Walker.
So my question has to do with there's no noise monitoring south of Quimby on the east side of Point Loma. And there's no noise monitoring at higher elevations on the west side of Point Loma. So at Del Mar and Crude, which is a very low elevation point, there's no noise monitoring further south than that. So since there's no baseline, how can we possibly say that there's no possible impact from any changes to the flight pattern? And granted, it's a parking lot issue, but it's a huge issue. Central Point Loma historically had minimal overflights, a few a day. This morning, from 6:30 to 7 a.m., there were 13 visible and audible planes in my home in Fleet Ridge. It's in the middle of the point. It's nowhere close to those published flight paths that you're using for 2008.
You're taking time.
Hello, my name is Mary Ann. I'm here in the middle of Point Loma. My question here is we're here for a meeting to give comments, but none of our comments are being recorded. None of our comments are being questions that are answered. Except to give us a chance to let our statements out and try to calm us down. This whole thing from day one has been poorly planned, poorly executed. We're shown a series of totally nonsensical, jargonistic presentation, and nothing is of any use to any of us. This meeting is totally useless. Thank you.
name is Ann Walker. I live on Martinez. The back of our house is on Talbot. We live on top of the hill. I took a flight from San Diego to Albuquerque, New Mexico last Wednesday, and I looked down as we came around the point, and I was over the wooded area, Southwest flight. But my big question is, I would like to know if anybody has analyzed any of the soot that has come off of the lower flying airplane, because I think there's going to be a lot of health issues with these new proposed flight patterns.
Jerry, followed by Janine, and then followed by R. Casey. Okay, thank you.
My name is Jerry Monahan. I know soot and everything else is a problem. I think the main issue is safety. I'd like to remind people here from the FAA, your mission statement says safety is your prime concern. Your vision statement says safety is your prime concern, and so does your vision statement. What I'd like to know is how that is reconciled with the fact that you will now be flying planes over homes, businesses, schools,
national parks,
you're going to go over Cabrillo Elementary,
churches,
Silvergate, Dana Elementary, and Point Loma Nazarene. I want some school as well. I want to know how you reconcile safety by saying that the airlines are going to save money. Your responsibility is not to the airlines. Your responsibility is to the people, the citizens, and the taxpayers. You work for us.
Okay. Janine, followed by Casey, followed by Melinda Medina.
Yes, hello, my name is Jeannie Barton, and I live on Sunset Cliffs Boulevard. And I have one question regarding, has the FAA taken into consideration the military aircraft that are also flying? I know when I was out there having lunch today, there were military helicopters flying, and of course they have to fly below the aircraft flight paths, so they're much lower and also cause a noise disturbance. But has this also been taken into consideration? Also, I just want to make a comment that Sunset Cliffs is number 5 on TripAdvisor out of 67 nature parks in San Diego. And so this is the one of the most popular visited places. There are many weddings there. And so not just the Point Loma residents, but also the San Diegans and many tourists come here and come to visit not only Sunset Cliffs, but Cabrillo National Park. It's a beautiful natural place, and I wish you would take a walk down Sunset Cliffs just to know what it's like in our beautiful neighborhood. Thank you.
Casey, followed by Linda, and then Danielle Brunel.
Excuse me, procedure here. Casey has put a staggering amount of work into this group. He is a community leader, and I think he deserves to have maybe another 2 more minutes, please. I'm sure their speaker will defer their time to Casey.
Well, I'll go and allow it because of that. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Casey Schroer. I'm part of the original group that...
We have to hear you.
Casey Schroer. I'm part of the original group that coalesced into some opposition, pulling together the grassroots efforts
We started the petition approximately 2.5 weeks ago, and about 2 hours ago, we topped 3,000 signatures. It should be noted that the Point Loma community really didn't understand this issue, was not informed of this issue. It wasn't on anybody's radar until approximately Labor Day weekend. So this showing is an outpouring of their frustration and their disappointment with the process, with the lack of communication, and with the proposal. I think it's pretty significant to have this kind of turnout in opposition of the proposal. A couple of things to point out. Number one is we were not given any information from the FAA as to how the format of this evening was going to be run. So this is a complete surprise to us. They were not willing to share any information as to format. So the fact that there's no comment being provided by the FAA needs to be pointed out. More importantly, the fact that there's no record of this meeting is significant. What that means, and I want to stress this to everybody in the room and everybody watching this on TV, none of these comments are part of the record. No. The FAA has no obligation whatsoever, since they're not putting this on the record, to comment to these and provide responses. So the draft environmental assessment that we have available to us today will be responded to only to written comments with your name and your address sent to that email address. So everything tonight is likely falling on reasonably deaf ears. Thank you for being here, but it would be really nice if you respected us and put this on the record. Undo the parking lot. So put the parking lot back
Everyone
out
needs
to
to
show
write
this.
what they said then. Everyone needs to write what they said.
Everyone needs to write that email address with your explicit questions and challenges to the environmental assessment. That list right there is not a true indication of the issues here at hand. That list is trying to defer the attention from all of the impacts of the Metroplex NextGen environmental assessment. Specifically, separation is a feature of the Metroplex NextGen. Putting it on that list is not an accurate representation. You are impacting Ocean Beach, Mission Beach, Fleet Bridge with the fanning separation, that lateral separation. It is a fact of this issue, not a parking lot item.
Go, Casey.
We can go through all of those, but what I would encourage you to do is to look at the environmental assessment. It's a 135-page document. It covers a region of 180,000 square miles. This is out of your document. It covers 21 airports, including Los Angeles International. It's 135 pages. It's almost as thick as our 3,000 signature petition. How can you make a determination that impacts millions of people, whether it's San Diego or whether it's any of the other 10 cities that are fighting you vehemently over this issue, based on a 135-page document? That's bogus. The fact that you find no single issues that need mitigation in that document is a farce. That's absolutely not conceivable, given you're studying 21 different airports. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Linda Medina. I live on Lamont Street, which is across the street, about 100 meters away is my home, 24 acres. Obviously, I'm experienced with planes flying over my home. I have two questions, but first you asked for questions about the Metroplex, so I do have one. What impact do you expect, how many guests, how much the population will change as far as the impact of more cars, et cetera? That's a concern to me, and as I said, I live 100 meters across the street. We've been impacted by that, so that's one concern I have. But back to the FAA, one concern, as Casey stated, this is not being audio taped or recorded in any sort of way. That's not professional. I'm concerned about that. Next, I work at San Diego City Schools, so as we know already, the planes already impact Loma Portal Elementary, Point Loma High,
right off the start. But the Lone Portal has a later start because of the planes. As you know, they start at 6:31 in the morning, they end at 11:08, minus the couple of the planes, FedEx that fly about 3:41 reverse flight, and then other emergencies, I'm sure. But what I wanted to bring up to the FAA is this. Can you say to us right now, please, the altitude of typical planes, one of that's heavy one going across to New York City or Southwest, for example, either one, the altitude, I'm not familiar with it. If my altitude was 7 feet, 7 stories high, I know that it would hit. But I just want the audience to understand the difference of when it flies right here as compared to when it's going to make the U-turn. What altitude will the plane be expected to be flying at? Thank you.
Danielle followed by Melissa, and then followed by Deb Porter.
Hi, good evening. I am a very proud resident of Point Loma and purchased our home about a year and a half ago, and we did not used to hear any planes. Within the last 4 weeks, my 3-year-old is now asking me to close the windows so he can hear his shows. So if a 3-year-old can figure out that this is happening, I think you should admit that it's being implemented as well. So, I will make sure this is a NextGen based question, for what purpose I don't know, but I don't want to be on that parking lot list. Okay. One important component of NextGen is the fanning after departures, which increases the lateral side-by-side separation, therefore reducing the amount of time required in distance and trail separation between departing aircraft. What assurance can you provide the users, school children, students, and residents of Point Loma, Fleet Ridge, Ocean Beach, Mission Beach, Coronado, from what I'm hearing, that there will be no negative impacts from implementation of the NextGen fan-out departure strategy?
Melissa, followed by Deb, and then followed by Bruce Bailey. Melissa? She's not here?
Move on.
Okay, what about Deb Porter? And again, if the next speaker can come to the chair so we can, which is Bruce Bailey, followed by Neil Easterby. So if Neil, come and take one of the chairs as well. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Deb Porter. I live in Ocean Beach on Savoy Street and Point Loma Avenue. And I've noticed just a huge increase in planes going over my house, especially in the last year. I just wanted to make a couple of comments, which is I think this was advertised very, very poorly. It blindsided me and just about everybody I've talked to, and just no way to run a situation that's this sensitive and this important. The other thing is that I really feel that your mission is to not only make sure that the air traffic is well organized, et cetera, but I think that you really do have to pay attention to the communities that are affected by this problem. And at the risk of being maudlin, I guess, I'm really concerned that it looks like airplanes will be going over not once but twice over Point Loma. And having lost a brother-in-law in the PSA airplane crash, and noting that the North Park neighborhood was virtually decimated by that crash, I want you to realize that safety is a very, very serious concern.
Okay, I lost your card, so you're next, and then after that is Cynthia Hansen. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Bailey, and I live at Yukon. I have something here that I went back and looked at today, your mission. And after practicing law for 45 years, I really, really respect mission statements and people who do what they say they're going to do. And one of them says here, excellence is our promise. We seek results that combine professionalism, transparency, and accountability. That's number one. And I'm not putting this on your shoulders. I want you to think about this the next time you hold a meeting like this. The second point is this. You say integrity is our touchstone. We perform our duties honestly, with moral soundness, and with the highest level of ethics. So I'd like to pose my two questions for you, ma'am and sir. How is it that we can come here, spend our time researching all of this, and you cannot tell us that there will not be a court order here? I would have been happy to pay for it. I have Brian Monahan sitting right here, an attorney in town for 45 or 50 years. We would have brought a court reporter, and do you not think that this meeting would have been 100% more valuable to you instead of taking what we say here and shuffling it out and reporting it on? So let me ask my two questions then. And since I graduated a biology major, I'm going to make this a little bit more on the what are we doing to the nature around us. And so, in looking at the the environmental report very quickly, your definition of the historical and cultural sites is very, very narrow, such that the Rio National Monument, Fort Rosecrans, Sunset Cliffs, and the tide pools at Point Loma Nazarene University are not referenced in the environmental assessment report. How can that be? That's number one. I will. And I have one more question. Endangered species. There have been a number of endangered species here at Point Loma. What federal, state, and local agencies have been consulted and have provided you with conclusions to determine that there is no adverse effect to the habitat? I saw nothing in that report.
Followed by Cynthia, and then Joe.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. And now I'd like to introduce, what are the odds of this? My neighbor is next up.
Thank you. My name is Neil Husterman. I live next to Bruce on DuPont Street. First of all, I only have one question. I really don't care anymore about the question because it's not being recorded, and what the heck, I'll write it and send it in. I do want to make it very clear to everybody in this room, which is a tremendous outpouring, that go to noapplyday.org. I think it's October 24th. In cities throughout the United States, they're going to be protesting this program. NoApplyDay.org. This has been a fiasco for you guys throughout the United States. We're not alone. There are 9 other cities, major cities, that are fighting you right now. You're being sued by Phoenix for complete lack of due process. 0. This meeting, how poorly it's been done by you, is an example. It's just mind-boggling that we're paying you guys to do this. If you weren't in the meeting, you'd be fired. I do have one question, and that is why in the whole world does the FAA use an archaic system to measure decibels? Why? The DB system you use was developed before the desktop computers. That's how archaic that science is. In Europe, in other countries of the world, they're using different systems of measurements. I'm not going to get into the technical part. I know you want to get me off stage. Okay. Anyway, actually, I lost my train of thought, so I'm just going to remind people, please, this is a tremendous outpouring. I'm proud to be your neighbors. I really am. I hope to see you at the airport on October 24th.
And no
You'll
plain
go
noise.
to Facebook.
NoPlaneNoise.com.
Yes, noplane.com, noflyaway.org.
And
NoPlaneNoise.
And noplane.noise.org. Anyway, we'll get the information out to you guys. You guys are wonderful.
Okay, I'm one of those who bought a home that wasn't under the flight path, and it appears that now it is going to be under the flight path. It looks like I, along with a lot of people here, are going to have to endure increased pollution, particulates in the air, increased noise pollution, decreased property values, and it feels as though there's no reform. It's just coming at me. And so I don't understand, and I'm sorry, I really was hoping that I could get more information. I don't understand why this is safer. It appears like there's no change. And as
It's
many people
money
said, it's more
oriented.
dangerous. So that's the one question I can ask, and please try to get that to us, but maybe you don't have any comments. But it's not clear that it's safer. It looks like it's more dangerous. And so the only gain seems to be for airlines, and again, it's a big business gets a gain, and individuals are left.
Yes. They make billions.
So, I will record comments. I understand that that's what will be recorded to go to this website for FAA or whatever it is. But I also feel as though we need to get to the bosses of the FAA that oversee, which is our elected officials here in Washington, D.C., because they're the ones that represent the individuals, and I don't know where else to go. Thank you.
Jill, followed by Jill, and then Julie Connolly.
Look at her.
I was asked to don't forget the
Yeah. Just keep it on.
Good evening, and thank you for being patient with the collective frustration that's being expressed in this room. I must applaud you for wading through the comments and the concerns that are being expressed. My name is Joe Watkins. I'm Vice President, actually Executive Vice President for Quinlan Management University. As was noted by a previous speaker, the environmental assessment did not note that a university with 3,000 people on campus every day is not acknowledged or noted within the FAA's environmental assessment. Is it possible that the FAA can assure the university and our neighbors that the current state of proposed flight paths of heavy jets, as presented in the previous illustration, will remain within the projections noted on the map? In other words, what is the likelihood of deviation by heavy jets from the map that was presented? And then second, if in the future you envision another community meeting, let me offer our 1,800-seat meeting facility on campus.
And then Julia Quinn. And again, we have seats up here for you to take.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jill Monroe. I'm the Director of Public Affairs, also with Point Loma and Nazarene University. To echo some of my boss's questions, I'd also like to raise the assurances of whether or not this flight path would indeed protect not only the peninsula, but the community, the students, and the variety of individuals that visit the peninsula. With the proposed flight path to potentially increase flights across our campus, that would dramatically impact our ability to teach and our students' ability to learn. The challenge right now is that occasionally flights do cross over the peninsula. As a residential academic environment, we are not designed to deal with constant and consistent air traffic. And I would just ask that what in fact is the assurance that this proposal would not negatively impact our ability to exist as an institution. Thank you.
Julia, and then Don Bond.
fourth-generation resident of Point Loma, and I started the Facebook group that we are all part of here. My question to the FAA is regarding, in your SoCal Metroplex PDF that's online, it states regarding the long-term effects regarding the SID departure pattern. It states, the environmental review for this project has not yet been undertaken, given the procedural design process has not yet been completed. This is from your document regarding the cumulative environmental effects on our neighborhood. I question why that happened, when will this review be completed, and what will it entail? Additionally, I would like to know, as a resident of Point Loma, how many eastern-bound planes will the new SID departure route send over the point, and at what altitude? I'm sure there has to be some sort of analysis where you'll be able to tell us the planes. Finally, I'd like to know why the sound measurements in this study are using the DNL, the day-night average sound level, that is decades old, whereas California and our California law states that these assessments must be used using the community noise equivalent level, which is a more advanced way of measuring sound. So what you're doing is contrary to California law. I'd like that addressed, please.
And then, Sunil Nabil. I apologize again.
Good evening. My name is Julia Quinn. I'm chair of the Peninsula Community Planning Board. The Peninsula Community Planning Board is the official community planning group organized under the auspices of the City of San Diego for the Point Loma community. The elected members of the PCPD represent a broad spectrum of voices and viewpoints about community issues, including issues related to San Diego International Airport and its noise impacts in the Peninsula community. At its September 17, 2015 meeting, the Planning Board adopted the following position regarding the SoCal Metroplex project and its associated environmental assessment. First, we would like to thank the FAA for extending the comment period, because this is a very complex project. It allowed our members, and also in discussions with the community, to provide input. But although the initial workshop and extended deadline for comment were appreciated, there were still aspects of the environmental review of this project we do not believe were successful in allowing for comment as required by the National Environmental Policy Act. For example, a hard copy of the draft EA was not available at the Point Loma Library, which it was purported, and that's the place, where people go to review documents. But anyway, kind of the bottom line, our group is concerned about the proposed elimination of the Loma waypoint. The elimination of the Loma waypoint, in our view, based on the information provided, is going to increase air traffic that's located south of the 275 heading, and that's going to subject residents of this community to additional noise. And also, I have a letter here which I would like to submit for the record.
We all do.
Would you accept this comment letter and take it back with you? Okay, thank you.
And then Jarvis Ross.
Hello, my name is Don Braun.
Put it
Born
up.
and raised here in Point Loma, still live here. And for 25 years, my wife and I have lived on Bangor Street. Those of us who have lived here for an appreciable period of time in this room know for a fact that the story, that the pattern hasn't changed, that there aren't more flights, that planes are not deviating toward the south is not true.
That's
We
right.
see it all. The map that is being shown is not accurate. We know that for a fact. We know that every day when the planes fly over our house, and it has only increased. But there's another major impact, not just the noise. We went around our house, it happens to be made out of white stucco. And for a couple of years now, my wife Catherine has said to me, Don, we're sure spending a lot of time cleaning that oil and soot off of the house. It never used to be like this. That's another piece of evidence which shows us all that the story that's being presented is not true. I guess I'll wrap up with this, because since you're not making a record, nobody back in Washington is going to hear me, at least not right away. But I have two final things to say. Number one is this. We're hearing through the grapevine that this is already a done deal. And I'm really sorry to hear that. We know it's already a done deal because we can see what's happening already. And I fear that given the fact that you're not making a record, and therefore none of our comments are going to go back to Washington, the people who are going to make the decisions, that it's only the lawyers who are going to fix this. I hope it doesn't come to that, but I fear that it's the case.
Jarvis, I'm sorry. Do you mind switching? Okay, thank you.
I've been a member of the Peninsula Community Planning Board since the year 2000, off and on, as terms. I live in the northern part of Point Loma, but I'm fully in support of all these people who oppose this project. And part of it is because of my own experience in the northern part of the peninsula. And that is back in 1995, when I moved into the northern part of the peninsula, the flights going north all throughout over the ocean. Today, and since that time, as the price of jet fuel went up, they started turning, and they went up north, they turned north and went east of Nimitz. Today, they're still doing that. There's no record of that. Those maps you put up there, and the airport authority puts up there, are completely felonious. I would say they remind me of the $3 bill. People, there's too many wrong records that are shown. Every time I see one of those maps up there, it doesn't portray actually how the flights go. And that's my concern too. If this thing goes through, it's not really going to portray actually that all the people are going to be impacted. We thoroughly oppose this thing.
And then Arlette Smith. So after Sahil, and I apologize for mispronunciation earlier, Deborah Turner, who then followed.
Good evening, my name is Sahil Khalil. I've lived at 510 Sorrento Drive since 1997. I've noticed the flights or returns in the last 10 years. I'm a former Peninsula Community Planning Board member and a former chair. We have written multiple letters to the San Diego Airport Authority and also to the FAA. And I appreciate Mr. Grimes bringing up the noise dots, because I too am very concerned about the deviation from the noise dots that were negotiated back in 1990. The question I have is how many of the 21 airports that you have in your NextGen departure operations that you put in your environmental assessment require a Title 21 variance to operate? If it's only San Diego International Airport, this variance that is up for renewal in 2017 will be challenged by this community. The fact that this is a non-conforming airport, non-conforming, and forcing our community to conform with the airport, vice versa, is wrong. Community members, 2017 is when that variance goes to the state of California and is up for renewal. That variance requires them to monitor the noise, to measure the noise, to actually give us not models, but actual data. They have not been doing that. And we want to know actual data of the noise. I've suggested this for probably a decade now, with no response. We need noise monitors south of Chatsworth. We need monitors that are on the Point Loma Nazarene College, at the Point Loma Park, right on top of the water tower. We need to know that triangle and those early turns that are affecting our community south of Chatsworth are actual impacts. So let's challenge the variance, guys. Let's get this airport operate correctly, or if they don't, shut it down.
And then followed by Herb Brown. Deborah?
My name is Debbie Turner. I live on Via Flores in Point Loma. I've lived there for 10 years. I never heard a plane come out of Lindbergh until we came home from vacation about 2 weeks ago. And now they're constantly coming one way and then coming back the other. I don't know how anybody can tell us that they aren't turning early and coming back over Point Loma. I can see them from my bathroom. The second thing is, we were offered that there would be a transcriber willing to take all the questions off the video from the news crews. Is that acceptable to you if we do that at our own expense? Could you stand up and get that on record?
If you can get this transcribed as you suggested, in whatever manner you would like it to be, I need you to send it here. I'm legally obligated to have it go on the record so that it can be officially answered when we close the feed by.
This is a lot of video that we're going to have to get from the different news crews. How long are you willing to extend this so it can be transcribed?
That's a fair question. So you're not going to like the answer. I can't send it tonight. All right? Well, I'm sorry. I work for the federal government. You know but we understand the request for the extension. We're going to get that request from other people, and we're going to have to decide whether we can do that. So the comment period is not going to close until it closes. We're facing another decision on whether we need to extend it again. But I don't want you to leave here tonight assuming it'll be extended. Okay?
Bottom line, everyone just send your questions in.
It can't be submitted.
Everyone that speaks, just send your questions in.
Midnight Eastern time on the 8th. Midnight Pacific. Okay? Arlette Smith, followed by Herb Brown.
Is over here from the other side, and she's asking questions that I can't answer. Could you? She's asking about the extension.
Mecklenburg. Okay.
Thank you. I'm Arlette Smith. I'm a realtor here in Point Loma for the last 20 years. In fact, I sold Debbie her house 10 years ago. And all these years, I've been telling people that if you live south of Nimitz, you're pretty much out of the flight path noise. One of the things that I really want to understand is if the Loma Portal area, the FAA in the last few years ago, did a substantial amount of retrofitting of the homes here. I really can't recall the exact amount of money that the FAA put aside to do all that retrofitting, but that should play into the cost of changing the flight path to retrofit all of those systems.
And the college! And the college!
Brown, followed by Justin, and then Charles Conklin.
I'm going to say something that's a little bit different. What is the lady's name that's writing the notes? thank you for writing those notes, so you are listening. And I want to appeal to you guys as fellow citizens. San Diego is different because we have the largest military base, naval aviation military base that you're planning on flying right next to. So already we have 400,000 flights coming off the North Island that is going over or around Point Loma, Ocean Beach, in our area. That makes us unique. That doesn't make us Phoenix. That doesn't make us LA. Please look at our situation by itself. Don't look at it lumped into the Southern California Metroplex because we are different. That base makes us different. The fact that you're flying very low over a national park makes us different. It's a totally different situation. So please, as fellow citizens, look at it from in our shoes and not from the federal government. And thank you for being here.
And then Lisa Murphy.
I also want to thank you guys for being here, just especially since the kids that are here so that they can see the inefficiency, the ineptitude, and the lack of accountability of the federal government. Look how bored they look. They don't care. This is all lip service we knew was going to happen. And a consultant, I don't know what we pay you for. Anyway, you're all fired. So anyway, I'll talk to the crowd. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. We were expecting to get a room for 400 people. This is well over 400 people, so thank you so much. I want everybody to make sure you go to meet at one single place where we all gather, and that's noplainnoise.com. You can get all this information there. I've been working closely with KUSI. We're trying to, we're going to try to get a GoFundMe page going. We are going to take legal action. Do not think that this is over. Being a pilot myself, I know that it is complete BS. That why do you have waypoints if you're not going to fly between them? It's absolutely false what they were showing you. They did the same thing in Minneapolis. They did the same thing at Phoenix. We're going to take them down. So this next time you'll see them maybe in court. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys.
Lisa, and then Barb Franklin.
Yes, my name is Charles Conklin. I'm a 61-year resident of Point Loma. My parents built the house in 1953 that I live in. I live one block. I live on Willow Street. I can see this building from my house. I'm one block from the sound device, monitoring device on Twitter. I'm often wondering how many FAA people live one block from an airport sound monitoring device. I'd like to just touch on a little bit of history because I don't know if you know San Diego. I grew up when the terminal building was on Pacific Coast Highway. It was about the size of this room. They just finished the third terminal. By the way, back in the 50s, there were 2 runways, one for the small plane. 50 years later, we have 3 terminals. You could fit 100 of these buildings in those terminals, and we have 1 runway. I lived through Point Loma High School, Dayton Junior High, Loma Ford, teachers having to stop speaking. Going up to Starlight Bowl, the actors and actresses having to stop speaking. More and more people, if this plane goes through, are going to end up having to stop speaking in their own houses, and that's not right. I also lived through PSA 182. I'd like to say that if you go outside, you'll smell the salt air, and you'll also smell the exhaust from the aircraft. It's the first thing I notice when I fly into San Diego and I get home, is that smell of salt air and the smell of exhaust. Finally, don't take this personally unless the shoe fits, but this meeting and the way it was organized is everything that I, and I think my fellow neighbors have come to expect from a federal agency and federal employees.
My name is Lisa Vidal-Merzick. I live on Temple Street. I have to say I'm so proud to have you all as my neighbors. I'm amazed by all of you people, and it takes a lot of guts to get up here. So just really quickly, my husband and I used to live in Ocean Beach, and we were lucky enough to be able to earn enough money to be able to move to Point Loma out of the flight cap, and that was very important to us. Neither of us have parents. We have no money coming our way. Our home that we own right now, that we specifically paid more money to buy. We bought it because it was not in the flight path, and now we may lose value on this home that we're hoping to be able to use for our retirement. And I'm sure there are other people out here that are probably thinking and doing that same thing. And also, I don't know if anyone has thought about the loss in property tax. We pay a hell of a lot of money on property tax that will not be collected. And I want to tell a really quick story, if I can, since this isn't being recorded. I guess it doesn't matter. When we moved from Ocean Beach to Point Loma, my daughter was 5 years old. And it was in the evening when we were unpacking some things, and she said, "Mommy, what's that sound?" And I said, "What sound?" And she said, that sound, that noise. And I said, "That's crickets." We had lived under the airport at Ocean Beach until she was 5, and she had never heard a cricket because of the noise. Please allow all of the children in Point Loma to be able to hear crickets. Thank you.
I'm Barbara Franklin. I've lived on the Point my entire life. My grandparents lived on the Point as well. I find it concerning that the FAA claims to not know that planes are flying over the center of the Point. I mean, that's your job. You're supposed to know that, but you deny that it's happening. Just yesterday, I had while I was home, I had 3 planes fly right over my house, and I live right near the college, so I'm sure everybody at the college heard it as well. So, I don't understand why we pay the tax dollars so we can pay you to implement expensive programs, and now we're going to have to pay for attorneys. You're not working with us. We need you to listen to what we're saying. And as far as your map goes, a 3rd grader could get a ruler and draw a straight line from point A to point B. You need to be concerned with not just the airspace, you need to be concerned with what's on the ground. You're not taking that into consideration. And I think out there, I'm mind blown, because if I want to save gas and I want to save time, I know a lot of you heard this, but I'm going to drive over your lawn and through your backyard to go to the grocery store. What you're saving money-wise on fuel is $5 per flight. Another thing is, one of the pilots here mentioned that in order to take off and turn around so quickly, you use more fuel. So it just doesn't make any sense. You need to go out there. Physics of it. Let's see. I also wanted to know how many cities are real happy with Metroplex plan. I haven't been able to find one.
Thank you, Hunter.
Thank you.
They're invisible. It doesn't matter. I don't need to talk to them. The reason I'm talking this loud is that Point Loma now joins OP in the nightmare we've been living with since 1969. Anyone who remembers the practice test. So, you guys aren't going to do anything. You're going to do something. Come to OP, come to my house on Sunset Boulevard, and not be able to hear the end of the TV show at 8:30 at night. See a DHL plane. Pay the fine at 3 in the morning and wake me up. That's what it's about. Your noise monitors? There are pigeons on the noise monitor on Cape May and Sunset Cliffs. You're paying to keep birds off of all.
Thank you.
I guess you're relieved now.
If this is not important to our home, we should be starting protocols now.
You did good. Thank you very much.
Both of you.
Thank you.
I was chairman of the airport relocation committee in the 70s. We had lots of meetings. We finally had to bring a lawsuit against the port district who ran the airport at that time. And that lawsuit resulted in causing the FAA to soundproof some of the houses. It also resulted in the curfew that we currently have. 8 years ago, I saved some of the papers. 8 years ago, the FAA proposed these new flight departure headings. And I have some, these are from 8 years ago, but they proposed those headings 8 years ago. I think they're just kind of beginning to implement them now. The last thing I want to say, is we moved out of Global Portal, but my husband and I learned the terrible effects that airplane noise has on children. It affects their speech development, especially for young children. And this is a study that was done around the Munich airport. If you have children that are living in under noise, especially if they're young, it's a terrible thing for the development of their speech. Thank you very much.
Because of the interest in Shomier, the FAA has agreed to send an additional 20 minutes. So, John Schultz, followed by Sarah Cohn, and then Jeffrey Roberts. Thank you.
This is Bill Bailey.
Is John Schultz still here?
Not yet.
I'm Sarah. I live on Ball Beach, Jeffrey, and then Michael. For those that are leaving, please leave quietly so we can hear the opening speaker.
Yes, my name is Sarah. I live on Albion Street in Flushing Easy. I want to just reiterate what a few people have said. I care deeply about the community issues, our natural spaces, and all the health and safety issues. But I also want to reiterate that our home values are being impacted. And the FAA should not prioritize saving money for airlines over the individual people who have worked a lifetime to live in this beautiful area.
Followed by Michael, where's his mic?
I'm Jeff.
Okay, Jeff. Followed by Michael, and then Stephen Ritter.
Hi, I'm Jeff Ravis. I live on Charles in the Wooded area. And I'm not interested in being bought out. I'm not for sale. I'm not interested in getting a voucher for some double pane windows. Since we're supposed to direct the questions to regard to the proposed project, and I've read through a lot of it, I wanted to try and explain one of the confusing figures that they mentioned, which is called the DNL. And this is an average of noise over 24 hours that's supposed to tell us what our impact will be. And they say it's going to be 5 more decibels over 24 hours. So, as an example, if our baseline DNL was 50, and you had a low sound siren at 5 decibels for 24 hours a day, that would raise the DNL to 55. Also, a DNL of 55 would be achieved by a 3-minute rock concert set at 100 decibels 24 times a day. So I asked the FAA, is this a good measurement of how we're impacted by sound and noise? I don't think so. I'd also like to say that unlike people, all airspace is not created equally. When you fly over our homes, it's not the same as flying over the ocean. I'd also like to know how many tax dollars are projected to be saved by implementing these changes. I haven't seen that figure. And I also would reiterate what essentially other people have already said today, that all this has essentially been political theater so that they can claim that we had a public comment period so that when we eventually sue them, they use it for their defense. But we're up to the challenge, so we're going to bring it to you.
Stephen Richter. Okay, Sandy Weissman. Here, Sandy. Okay, followed by Fred Cosmo. Okay. And then John Reed.
Sandy just wanted to say that there's no way that the comment period should end in 2 days and that it should be extended, and so she wanted to pass that along.
John, and then followed by John Ziegler.
Good evening. My name is Fred Cosmo. I've been a resident in Point Loma and Ocean Beach for the last 18 years. And I want to thank you for staying active to hear the comment. What I want to say is that you are fundamentally ignoring the quality of life of all these people in this room. And that's the fundamental flaw with this plan. The fundamental flaw is that the plan is all based on efficiency. You're trying to save $5 on each flight for Southwest Airlines, and you're dropping soot on my house and everybody else's house. You're causing noise pollution, and you don't seem to care. It's offensive. And as a representative of the people, it seems to me you need to balance the rights of the people. Saving $5 for Southwest Airlines versus destroying the quality of life of people that live in Ocean Beach and Point Loma is fundamentally unfair and it's offensive. And we don't want any more. When I see this plan and I study it, it's like a steel plant that does pollution in a river, right? You're already done pollution in our house every day when we live here, and now your excuse is, we can give you 5% more because we already done pollution and now you already. We've had enough. We're good neighbors. We live with the airport. The airport and the airlines, they need to be good neighbors. The fundamental problem here is they get all the profits. They get all the profits from less fuel. We bear all the burdens. It's unfair, and it should be enough.
And then Valerie Sheriff. Is John Reed here? Okay, then John. And then after, is Valerie here? Then Pam Hamilton Lester.
Okay. I'm an architect and a planner. I sat on the stakeholders group for the steering committee for Lindbergh Field for land use planning around the airport. I have reviewed EIRs recently, I think it's 5,000 pages, 130 page EA, committees and and let me be specific about that. You have a letter that has been written by Congressman Liu and Congresswoman Bass, which states, what are the altitudes? We have no way of understanding, because I'll be honest, I came here to learn. I didn't learn anything tonight. Because what I wanted to learn was what is the altitudes that the planes are going to be at? Because the noise level we all are thinking about is what we're experiencing on takeoff. We don't have anything in the technical report, because most of the technical report was done on LAX. We don't have the information in the EA to actually evaluate what is the significant impact on us. And that is a failure of the EA. And to approve that EA and move forward, without having the necessary information to evaluate it properly is inappropriate. We need the information. I want to learn the information because I'm not sure all of our perceptions here are correct. But nobody has conveyed that information to us. I learned a tremendous amount when I sat in the steering committee for Lindbergh Field. I saw the data, I saw the information, I started to understand things, I started to learn about safety and those kind of issues. What we have given the audience here is the opportunity to learn what is the benefit. But I also want to point out the letter that came from fellow Bowmans, from the airport authority. Why are we raising this line further to the north? There is no need. You heard from all the audience here. What is the benefit that we're gaining for this shift in the line?
Thank you.
Ann Hamilton Lester, and then Jean Bertonston here. Vince George.
Yes, I want to reiterate, I came to learn as well. I didn't understand your presentation at all. I've seen those graphs. I'm sorry, I didn't learn anything new. And the fact that you won't engage in any dialogue means we can't learn anything new. One of the things that's an advantage of Lindbergh Field, even though I think many of us would like it to move further away, is that it's near an ocean. And so you have the advantage of having your flights go into the ocean and turn one way or the other. And I don't understand why we would go out of our way to ignore that and send flights over land. It just doesn't make any common sense. And on this basis, I'm shocked actually, if I understand the proposal, that the FAA would abandon common sense and actually spend the time and the money to do an environmental assessment on something that doesn't make any sense. You're policymakers, and why you would just submit something that doesn't make any sense. It just puts all the rest of us in apoplexy. But I want to say something else. I don't think what you're proposing makes any difference, because air traffic controllers, I want you to know, they're sending these flights over our homes right now, and they didn't used to be there. I used to not hear any flights in my home. I jog in the neighborhood, I never heard anything. Today, I was never without a plane that I could hear. And I've lived here 37 years, and this thing that's been, what Debbie said about the last 2 weeks or so is absolutely true. Maybe they want us to come out and get angry. Maybe they're local air traffic controllers and they're trying to help us understand what the impacts are going to be. Because that's what's happening. It's happening now. So who do we contact if we know that air traffic controllers who work for the FAA are sending planes where they're not supposed to be? Can you at least answer that question?
Authority staff will address that right after this meeting's over. Is it Don Mays? Okay, I'm sorry. And followed by Ann Ryan. Is Ann Ryan still here?
Yay!
Frank Cranto? Is Frank? Okay.
I think everybody here has about summed it up, so I think we're just going to go ahead and see you guys. That's all I got to say. We have beautiful land, beaches, parks, and you want to fly airplanes twice over our properties. Ridiculous.
Followed by Frank, and then Barry Hunt.
Go in. Go in.
I'm Ann Ryan, and I live out very near the point where the military base is. Maybe that's the Navy subbase. And I am very interested in I have a question that I would like answered, and that is, since all of your information has been related to the safety and the ability to be flexible and all that, but it all relates to airplane traffic, what sort of testing has been done on the impact for the citizens living beneath the flight path? And I mean information that could be used by all of us to understand better what would happen to us by living under the flight path, and that is impacts on the mental, emotional, and physical health of the citizens. I would like an answer to this, and I would like somebody in the FAA or the Airport Authority to tell me what testing or what sort of impact study has been done for the citizens under the flight path. My email address is with my sign-in sheet, and I'd like an answer. Thank you.
Followed by Barry Hunt, and then Jim Cummins.
My name is Frank Grantill. I've spent most of my life living in the beautiful Point Loma. I've enjoyed surfing and living in this great place. I consider this place paradise. And I know more people will be coming to live here and spending a great amount of money and taxes to support our community. We can't have this FAA system insult and destroy our quality of life without us having some part in changing, or at least part, making it work for everybody. We accept the fact that the airport's here. That's a given. But we can't have the airport change the flight path so that it flies over more homes when you get the ocean right here. I mean, it just makes sense. I was at St. Augustine's Classic 80 when Flight 182 came crashing down as I was going to OLP for consortium. So it's just going to be more dangerous, and for what? For money?
Yes.
Yeah, so what are we getting out of this? I hope we get pissed off as well, because this is what it's going to take. We're going to have to get very motivated, and I can see everybody is very motivated. I want to thank everybody who's been here and spoken. I think the Lord is so
Barry Hunt, is Barry here? Jim Cummins, Jim, and then followed by Wes Below.
I'm Jim Cummins, and I lived in the flight path in Loma, Florida from 78 to 85. So 30 years ago, I moved out here. This is not my backyard. I specifically moved from there to be where I am now on Jennings Street across from the college. So I just don't understand why the assault on noise factor, safety, respiratory problems, property values will affect all of us. The fact that this is a national thing doesn't give me any comfort. We're here now. This is a local issue, us. And I don't believe that the FAA was put in place to provide a better bottom line for the airlines. I haven't heard anything from FAA or anyone else that says why to do this other than we're going to save some dollars. Well, somebody already looked at the fact that all the money spent for double pane windows and insulation, there goes your profit there. Or I guess we pay for that through the court district, so it's like this pocket or that pocket, but this is an assault on our senses, and I think it's just great that everybody's here. This just shows us what we can do, and we hate to have it come down to lawyers, but if we have to have some time to do it, I guess we will.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. I know this is a very hard job for you to have, and there was no way you could give me $1 million to sit in those two seats. What I want to bring to your attention is that in 5.81 of the environmental assessment, the claim is made that there is no increased impact to air or water quality. Well, first of all, it says air quality, though there is a 0.33% increase in fuel burn. Now, the problem really exists is that when that plane takes off over water, that fuel and the PHAs are dispersed into the water and are dispersed every day. When you go over land, those pollutants fall more on the land, which makes its way into the stormwater and drains, and then when we have a little bit of a rain buildup, it flushes into the ocean in higher concentrations. That is against the Federal Clean Water Act. A source of pollutant
into the watershed. So the watershed is going both not only into the ocean, but into the bays. So there's a real problem that's going on with that technology and that understanding. And all for it, not the $7.8 million that we're sort of told is the regional impact. In San Diego, the impact is $250,000 a year in savings to the airlines for $30 million in lost tax revenues. If property is devaluated 10%, and not every home is devaluated 10%, that's just saying there's an average of 200 homes sold on the point every year. In the lower half of the point is going to be impacted. If those homes lose 10% of value, the assessed value is $3 billion over 10 years, $30 million in tax revenues. And I tell you what, we could use that to fix our streets. Thank you.
Authority staff will be over here at the park to address some of the current issues, and I'd like to thank the FAA also for extending the time beyond the 7:30 that we. Thank you very much for having me.